I've come here to have a good time. Let's put this on rewind. Oh, we've been waiting for showtime. There's no chance to unwind. Oh, I've come here to have a good time. Let's put this on rewind. Oh, we've been waiting for showtime. There's no chance to unwind.
Well, hey there, how's it going out in the interweb world? Hey, I am so glad that you are here. I'm Kevin Kolbe with Kevin Kolbe Media, and you are? If you are stopping by live or even watching this on the replay, drop a comment, say, hey, what up? Or whatever you want to say, because I'd love to know who you are and where you're watching from. Today, one of the things we're talking about is how to turn like a one-camera shoot, how to take one camera and make multiple angles. Now, it's one of the things I do quite a bit. I'm a one-man band. Actually, has nothing to do with bands. Nothing to do with bands. I'm a one-man guy, so I don't typically have a crew. Now, years ago, when I worked in TV, sometimes we had a crew. Back in the days when the money was flowing, we would hire crews, and then that quickly went away. But typically, a lot of times, if we were going on a video shoot, we might have more than one person. But if you're a business, whether it's a small business, medium-sized business, you're an entrepreneur, you're a content creator, and you're wanting to kind of maximize your shoots, maybe you don't have the time to do a multicam shoot, like a couple of cameras. Maybe you're lazy, just between us. But whatever it is, I'm going to show you, we're actually going to dive into Final Cut, and I'm going to show you a video that I use this on, and just to kind of show you some tricks that I use and stuff like that. So love to have you be a part of the show today, wherever you're from. Let's dive into this thing. Hey, and again, I'm Kevin Kolbe with Kevin Kolbe Media, kevinkolbe.com, and one of the things I do on this channel is I love to share tips and tools and strategy and encouragement to help you share your passions and make an impact in the world with online video and marketing. And if that's something that really hits you in the feels, hit that subscribe button. My plan is to go live every Wednesday, and I'm thinking of doing more of behind the scenes, some tutorials and things like that for the live show, because I can get more in depth into it. You guys can ask questions. If you have a question about anything that I'm showing you today, whether you're watching on the live stream or the replay, drop it in the comments. I always try and go back and respond to comments. And if it's a question, just mark it with question. It's easier to see. By the way, my comment of the week is coming from Noah today. I love how you change your glasses in every video. First of all, Noah, I appreciate you pointing that out. So if you notice, these are gray. I've also got, not to be confused with Ian Anderson gray, I've also got these. And I've had black ones. So here's the secret of where I get my glasses. The dollar store. It's actually the Dollar Tree. I mean, these are readers. And now the funny thing is I've got like pairs all over the house because it's like, where's my glasses? So, but today I'm going to go with the gray. If you have a preference, let me know. Let me know if this makes me look more distinguished. But one of the things we're going to be talking about today is this, and this is a video we're going to dive into in just a minute, but I'm going to let it play here, and you'll see the angles changing. You'll see like a wide shot and a medium shot and a close-up shot, and some different kind of shots, and there's some B-roll in there too. This is a video that there's a series I've been working on with our church called Jesus Stories, and it's people just sharing their Jesus stories. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did this. What you're watching here was one take. Yeah, one take that we changed the angles on, and then we edited it. Now, if you're interested in what I was shooting, that one was, I was using my 24 to 70 millimeter lens. There are 4 lenses that, to me, and I'll do a video on this later, but there are 4, I have you can't see them, they're way back in there, way back over there. I have way too many lenses. Even though a friend of mine said, can you have too many? Maybe. The 4 lenses, though, that are my absolute go-to lenses, a Sigma 16 millimeter lens, which I did a video on, and it is phenomenal. So typically the videos I shoot for YouTube, most of them have been done recently with the 16 millimeter. It just gives you that crazy bokeh background. I'm getting off on lenses now. But then I've got this one. This is a Canon 24 to 70 millimeter. It is a zoom lens. There it is. It is a zoom lens. Ooh, look. And then I use a 10 to 18 millimeter, which is what I have now. And the reason I've gone back to this one for my live streams is that right there. I can change the angle kind of on the fly. And then I've got a 50 millimeter, which is all called the nifty 50. So that's kind of that. But one of the things that I'm going to show you in just a minute was shot on the 24 to 70 millimeter. You could do it with any kind of lens. So the lens isn't that important. But again, this is what you're going to be seeing, and we're going to be showing you how I did all of that. In the meantime, if you are getting started on YouTube, you're stuck, you want some resources, I got you covered. Go to kevinkolbe.com/YouTube Resource Hub. Lots of things there, some downloads, some free guides, book I recommend, and other channels that I would highly recommend besides mine. So let's get into this right now. So we're going to be diving into... Now I'm actually in Final Cut now. And what's interesting is, and I covered this, so I also live stream every other Friday a show doing with Ecamm Live called Behind the Live. And last week, one of the tips I gave on how to kind of overcome a bad live stream is practice. Well, this morning when I launched Final Cut Pro 10, they had done an update. And that's not a big deal, but one of the things is I was having issues importing graphics and stuff like that. Like that Open that I played a few minutes ago, I just created that this morning with a phenomenal plugin from Motion VFX, which is the company I just love. So if you want to know how I did that, drop a comment, and that may be one of the future videos we show. It's very easy, very easy. But anyway, so let's dive into this now. Oh, my point is that had I not done a quick run through when I launched this project, it would have given you, oh, here's all the new things in Final Cut Pro 10, which I probably need to go over at some point. And by the way, this library needs to be updated. If you ever launch Final Cut Pro 10, do I need to keep saying 10? It's Final Cut Pro 10. If you ever launch it and it's updated, and you launch a library that was done in the previous version, you're going to get a warning box that's just going to let you know that, oh, you need to update this. Do it. You're not going to lose anything. There's not going to be an issue. It just brings all the files in to the current version. So just a little safety tip there. All right, so let's get into this. So this is the video. I hope you didn't hear my stomach. I am hungry. This is the video that I was showing at the head of the screen, and I need to move a couple of windows here. I'm going to move that, and I'm going to move that, and I'm going to move that. I'm back in Ecamm. I'm collapsing some windows to help me here. All right, so this is the video I was showing you a few minutes ago. So this is Jamie. His name is Jamie. He's one of the worship leaders of the church I go to. And he was telling a story. Well, if you notice, we shot it one way. Now, He was not on prompter. So for example, let me show you a couple of. So this is Rob. So when we shot Rob was on prompter. So one of the ways I did this is, if you notice, there's this angle, and then there's this angle, and then there's this angle. And we might even shot it a fourth time. And then I did a pickup line there. And the reason I would do that, since Rob was on prompter, what we actually did is I had him shoot it through. We shot it, and he did the whole take wide. And then I did the whole take in that angle. I did the whole take in that angle. And then I did a pickup line here. And so when I come back to edit, I just literally cut between the best take of those. Takes a little bit more time to do that, as opposed to Penny. So Penny was another video I did, and if you notice, there's two kind of shots on this one. There's that shot. We did do a second take, and then we did a side angle. This one is different. I actually had two cameras on this one, and I'll just tell you right now, I am not a fan of the side angle. It plays a part, but when I shoot my interviews, whether it's just for my own personal projects or clients, I always want them talking to the camera. Like right now, there's something far more conversational about talking to the person than at the person. Now, I know a lot of the videos you see that are interview types, news types, magazines, documentaries, they're not talking to you. And a lot of times it's because you know you're watching an interview with somebody else. But I think there's a personal connection you make when you're talking to somebody. And the example I use is this. If you go to a coffee shop with somebody, you know what? Let me go back to here for a second. If you go to a coffee shop with somebody and they're sitting here talking like this the whole time, you're going to be like, hey, dude, I'm over here. So that's one of the reasons that I'm not a fan of that. In Penny's case, we had a very short time, and Penny has an amazing story, but it wasn't really scripted. So we brought two cameras, set it up, and then I cut it that way. But for future videos, like with Joey, so Jamie, you can see all the other ones over there we've done. Jamie had his story. And you can tell right there he's looking at his laptop. So there's a laptop at right underneath the camera that you can't see. So we did it all the way through a couple of times, and so this is like all of one long take, and he's in that angle. And then we were going to do another one like that. And so again, that goes back to the one, come on now. That goes back to the one that I was talking about earlier, how we shot it with one angle, then we changed the angle, then we changed the angle. And I had an idea, and I think this was the first time we did this. So what I told is, I said, hey, I tell you what, because by then he had gone through his story he knew it, but even when you're not on prompter, you kind of, there's a chance of kind of free-forming. It didn't change the details, but he got comfortable enough with it. I said, how about this? Let's just shoot it in one long take. And then what I'll do is I'll stop you and we'll go back and I'll change the angle as we go. So that's what I want to show you right now. So that was, this was the original cut. So if you notice, let me change my angle. So one of the little tips I can tell you right now is when I edit with the audio on. Always do. Because that's how I want to really get into the edit. The video's there. You can see the video. But what I do is, now there's so many defaults. You can do that. You can do that. You can do that. So probably for sake of argument today, I'm going to show you this angle. But a tip I'll give you is, if you're editing, you might want to consider editing in the audio view, especially when you're doing something like I'm getting ready to show you. So let's go down and see if it'll load this. For some reason, it is not. You know what it is? I think because I've got Ecamm in this open. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a new project right here. Let's new event rather. Nope, I don't want a new event. I want a new project under this. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to just duplicate this. That's the easiest thing. I'm going to open that. I'm going to shrink this down. Now this is actually what it looks like edited. You can see all the edits in here. You can see some of the effects I've done. You can see the music that's in here and the graphic, right? So I'm just going to delete all that for now because I've copied it. So I don't, oops, missed something right there. And I missed something right. There we go. So now what I want to do is I'm going to highlight this one if I can get it. There we go. There we go. And I've got it right here. I'm going to drop it down in there. By the way, that is a shortcut. W is a shortcut. And I'm going to go to this. And you can expand the view. You can shrink the view. So if you notice, so just bear with me a second. I'm gonna what's called scrubbing. And by the way, if you're finding value in this, hit the like button, drop a comment if you got any questions. But right now, actually, I tell you what I'll do. I'll go back to this view for just a second, and I'm gonna expand it. And so what you're going to see is this. So keep in mind, the way I did this is I'm doing more editing in camera. That's another way you could say it. So what happens is we do the one shot. I'm changing the angles. I never stop recording. So this clip ends up being 17 minutes. But the final story ended up being 4 minutes and like 10 seconds or something like that, right? So, but what I do is as he's going, we change the angle. So I'm actually editing in camera in my head. And then when I get to Final Cut Pro or whatever editor you edit in, I'm always going to recommend Final Cut Pro. You literally just start chopping between those. So if we just let this play for a second.
That was it. All right. One more time.
I'm going to take the sound down. This is the raw video. This is the absolute raw video. I don't know where we are in the take. Actually, you'll see. So he's talking there. And you'll see in just a second that I... In fact, you know what? Let me leave the volume up, and you can hear me saying to him
everything from my parents, including my faith. And as a kid, that was good enough for me.
Okay. What's the next line?
I was a pretty...
So I'm asking him what the next line is.
I was a pretty easygoing kid. I was pretty easy. I'm going to say I was pretty easygoing.
And you see me adjusting the shot.
I was pretty easy.
And so he would do that some, and I would change it. And you can see where I would change it. There we go. What's next? And Jamie, if you were working with somebody who really gets into doing it this way, he caught on very quickly what we were doing, and so he would finish a line knowing that, oh yeah, Kevin wants to change the angle here. Now he can't see it because this is all in camera, right?
Life took a
and so I would ask him.
Life took a pretty dark turn.
You know what? Okay, you see me adjusting the shot, right? Now pay attention to that, because here's something else. And again, this is just kind of a little editing trick you can use. But there was a point in his story, and by the way, if you want to watch the entire video, I'm not going to play it now. There's a link in the description. It's on a whole different channel I have. It's called Face Up Original. It's where I put my story videos. So if you're ever interested, you can go to Face Up Original. But there's a link to this entire video. So you might want to go back and watch the whole video and then come back and kind of see what we're doing. But there was a point in his story where I wanted a reaction video and a reaction shot, and I didn't have it. So what I did is, and I think this is the one I did, I was looking for a moment just like that. So if you notice, I'm zooming in, I'm changing the shot, he has a look right there. And that may not be the one exactly. But by continuing to roll, it gave me some pieces that I could manipulate and use at other parts in the video. So that's just a trick you can do. But you get the idea here. I mean, you can see where I'm changing it, and I'm changing it. And again, there were times where there was another video I did with a guy named Vince. And I think it was Vince. One of them was talking about there's a point in his life he felt very far from his dad. So when I heard him say that, I wanted a wide shot to kind of give you that feeling of being away. So if you just go in cold on this, it may be hard, but if you're working with somebody and you have the time to go through it, if it's on prompter, that's even better. But if you can go through the story 2 or 3 times, you can do it the way I'm doing it. And there's 2 other videos I've done exactly this way. Otherwise, you can shoot and shoot and shoot. It takes a little longer. So you can see how I'm changing, how I just keep going. I keep going. And this is all locked down, meaning that I'm not, the movement you see here is me either zooming in or changing. And again, all of this was shot with the 70 or the 24 to 70. You can shoot this with any lens. So I never moved the camera from where I was, right? And then we've got his end. Actually, that may have been what I used right there. I'm not really sure. So let me go back to, I'm just going to let it play for just a little. So this is the the edit we went with. All right. So I'm just going to let it play for just a little.
We were the type of family, if the church doors were unlocked, we were there. I remember as a kid thinking that I inherited everything from my parents, including my faith. And as a kid, that was good enough for me. I was pretty easy going. I had 2 goals in life.
And then there's some cover in there we put. So you kind of get the idea, right? And let me try and find the shot I was talking about. Where he's kind of got the little attitude thing. Of course, I can't find it now. I wanted to show you that where he was talking about kind of feeling away. But you can see what we did here at the end, and then we cut to the... And actually, I think the ending we shot, I had him say it twice, and I used a different one. I always hate it when I can't find something I want to show. Assuming this is the... Oh, you know what? This may not be the one we ran with. Where's the final one? Let's look at this one. Because sometimes I'll edit and I'll go back and I'll look at it one more time and it's like it needs something. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So I'll play this part, and if you reference back what I was showing you, that there was a shot I wanted to reinforce visually what he was saying, and so I went back to the raw and I got this. I'm gonna let this play.
Inside of me, I knew who Jesus was, but I remember asking God, if you're real, then why is the world so messed up? Why am I struggling so much? My junior...
That right there was a shot from the raw of me just restaging the shot, and I found it and I added an effect to it, kind of some grain and stuff like that, because I wanted to reinforce what he was saying. So there's a little trick right there. So let's go to our edit. Let's go to this. So if we were editing this right now, here's how we would do it. Now, I would go to the audio view. Again, that works better for me. And I can expand it. And so what you're going to see is, you're going to see all these ebbs and flows. Now, you could also cut this one by visual too. But I can go here.
I grew up... I remember as a child thinking... Yeah.
Okay.
I remember...
Okay, you notice right there. So let me give you a little bit more context. So he's saying this.
We were there. I remember as a child thinking...
Now you hear me say stop, right? So if I'm cutting this, I'm going to cut right here. And right here is my next one. And watch.
We were there. I remember as a child thinking that I had inherited...
And that's how we cut the whole thing.
I remember as a kid thinking that I I remember as a child thinking that I remember as a kid thinking that I inherited.
Okay, so we evidently shot that a couple of different takes, so I'm going to cut to that one right here. It's the same.
We were there. I remember as a kid thinking
Notice?
that I inherited everything from my parents, including my faith. And as a kid, that was good enough for me.
Okay, what's the next line? All right, and then we went to here.
I was pretty easy.
All right, so
That was good enough for me.
cut. And again, these may not be the final takes, but I want you to get a taste for what we're doing. So watch, just
We were
that
there.
quickly.
I remember as a kid thinking that I inherited everything from my parents, including my faith. And as a kid, that was good enough for me. I was pretty easygoing. I had two goals in life, to be liked and to have fun.
Now, Jamie, as he got more into it, I wasn't stopping him as much.
I didn't reach a
So again, and I'm showing you different ways you can edit.
have
So
fun. I didn't reach a crossroads in my faith until much later in my teenage years.
let's assume that was an edit.
I didn't
All right, it's not. So we're going to undo that, and we're going to pull this one to right here.
and to have fun. I didn't reach a crossroads in my faith until much later in my teenage years. My life was pretty simple, and as a kid, nothing terrible really happened in my life. Sure. I didn't reach a crossroads. My life was pretty simple, and as a kid, nothing terrible really happened in my life. I didn't reach a cross. I didn't reach a.
All right, so evidently, again, you're seeing how I would be
be
editing this.
liked and to have fun. I didn't reach a crossroads in
There
my
we go.
faith until much later in my teenage years. Nothing terrible really happened in my childhood. I had a pretty simple life.
Right.
And the rest of the time I was somebody else. Life took a pretty dark life. But I had also developed this
So at this point, we left this one go because I knew he was, again, it helped because I knew that where he was kind of going with the story. So sometimes, and can be a preference thing too, sometimes you can over-edit and over-cut.
the rest of the time I was somebody else. Life took a pretty dark turn for me when I reached high school. I remember I started making really bad decisions. Life took a pretty dark.
And you see we redid that one again too. And sometimes by doing this, you can do a cut within a line.
Life took a pretty dark turn.
Go back here to give you some reference.
Life took a pretty dark turn for me when I reached high school. I was no longer that amicable kid. And that was true. And my best friend told me things. And that's true.
Okay, so you notice right there, we're going to cut right there.
And that was true.
And that was true. So again, I'm going to let this play. We're in this shot right
All
here.
the time about the most simple things. And that's true. I'd reached this point where this frustration and this anger was just growing inside.
And sometimes I would say, okay, what's the next line? I'd let him go, and I'd say, let's back up and do that. So if you notice, I want to go right back here one more time so you get kind of the feel of this.
And that's true. I'd reached this point where.
And so what we're going to do is, I think we're going
And that was true.
to pick it up right there. So I can drag this.
Time about the most simple things. And that was true.
So you can see how shooting it, so did it take a little longer to shoot this way? Yeah, maybe. Would two cameras have been faster? Well, you tell me. Do you have two cameras? Do you want to take the time to sync it and stuff like that? Now, Final Cut Pro does an amazing job with syncing and multicam. In fact, I got in an issue once on a shoot where I had two cameras, but I was running, I didn't have a second mic on the other camera, so I had to like kind of cheat the system to do it. But if you wanted to cut this more visually, you could do that too, and then you can scrub in and see where I'm changing things. So like right there, I'm changing from here to here, so you could cut, and then you could do that. And I just showed you like 3 different ways you could edit too.
Inside of me. I knew who Jesus was, but I remember asking, God, if you're real.
So that. Let me get out. Let me get back to what I can see here. So so that is how you can take one camera. Let me move a window here. That is how you can take one camera shot and I'll say quickly, but getting multiple angles out of it. Now, why in the world would you want to do this? And I tell you why I'm talking. I'm just going to let this play. Why would you want to do this? Well, again, if you're a one-person business, you're very small, or you're shooting your own stuff, or you're a solopreneur, as they're called, or you're a content creator, and you just don't have a lot of time, or you don't have two cameras. I mean, I'm blessed. I have two Canon M50s, and people have asked me why. Well, if I need two cameras, they're set up exactly the same, different lenses. But if one goes down, I know how the other one is set and everything like that. But that is more of a luxury, right? So this is a way for you to be able to shoot in camera and rather edit in camera. And so when you get back, yeah, you may have a longer file. Remember, the original length on that file was like 17 minutes? But then we cut it down to 4 minutes and like 10 seconds or something like that. And again, if you want to watch the original video, there's a link to that in the description. But that is how you can take one camera shot and get multiple angles. Now again, for me, it works like this because if you're working with somebody and you kind of build up that trust over time, it can really pay off. Another way I did it, and I showed you again in the video, is that if you could shoot it 3 different ways. So you could shoot wide and medium and tight. I like this way better because I can be more flowing while I'm shooting and hear that, oh, let me shoot this, let me shoot this. And there was one of the other ones we did where I think it was Caitlin, she said something, and but I kept going back to my old ways, and I'd go back and back and back. And so what I did is, I think I did this, is like I moved the angle to here, I moved the angle to here, and I moved the angle to here. And one question you get is, well, doesn't that disrupt the flow? It can. So the person you're shooting, unless it's you, the person you're shooting has to be very comfortable. What I find is the more they start sharing their story, the more they kind of forget that you're changing things. So if it becomes more of a distraction to them, you need to think about that. If it's on prompter, prompter's way easy to do it. Way easy to do it because they can just be reading through. You can change the shots, read it through again, change the shots. So, and again, that's what I used for that shoot, my 24 to 70 millimeter. And there's a link in the description to some of my favorite gear, my go-to gear. But if you also go to kit.co at Kevin Kolbe Media on there, that is also where I list all of my gear. And again, if you're also looking just to get more information on YouTube, kevinkolbe.com/YouTube Resource Hub. A lot of downloads, a lot of free stuff, a lot of recommendations on there I would recommend. So again, thanks for being here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you have any ideas for future videos, I'd really like to do more of the behind the scenes tutorials for live to show you how I make my thumbnails, how I light, how I mic, whatever it might be that will help you share your passion and make an impact in the world with video. I'm Kevin. Thanks for being here. We'll see you in the next video.